Hello, good evening. I am making a second video on the same night, which is not something I often do, but I got some requests the other day and decided to do both of them. And I have the energy right now, so I am doing it. A friend of mine asked me about books, and she wasn't the first one. People are always asking me about which books to read. I don't have all of my favorite books that I usually carry with me. Over the course of the last few years, when I have been back in America for during COVID, a few of my absolute favorite books got left at one friend's house, at my mother's house. I traded some out, and the ones I have right now are ones that I was reading at the time, so I keep carrying them with me. And yes, it's expensive because I carry my altar with me, which I just showed, and I carry the books with me. And I have a whole suitcase that's just for that. It usually costs me $100 extra to ship everywhere, so it's a pain in the ass. But it's important to me because the information in some of them is great. Now, the ones I have right now are not all my favorite, but right now I'm reading a couple that may not go with me. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so I'm going to show you some of my books. Turn this. First off, I always carry a journal. This one I don't love, but it's got a nice cover, and I always transfer some information from the old journals into the front of my journals, some notes, and then the rest is personal bullshit that comes out from doing sadhana and how that affects me. Right now I'm reading this book. It's very interesting and talks a lot about things that you don't hear about very often, and that is stuff I like. I like to have esoteric type information, and so I really can't say too much about it because I'm not that far in there. And I'm reading it kind of slowly because the information is interesting, and I'm kind of reading a bit and letting it process. You can see the name of the author and the name of the book. I don't need to say it. This one is one of my favorites. I reread parts of it all the time. I have Agora 2 and 3 downloaded onto my laptop. I could not get this one to do it, so I always carry a actual paperback copy with me because I don't know, just it's what got me into all this stuff in a deeper way, and it is what, I don't know, it turns my crank. I love it. This is the Kulanava Tantra. I reread it all the time, and this is the version I was told to get by my first tantric teacher because it's just a very direct translation. It doesn't have interpretations and commentaries in it, and that's not what you want. You need to get all that stuff from a teacher, a guru, not from that. So Guruji and me have gone over part of the book. I keep rereading all of it until I'm finished, and then I start it again. So like every few days I'll pick it up and read some verses. That's just kind of how it goes. This is a new book that I just got because I was looking for some stuff on Pratyangita because I'm kind of ready to learn all of her vidya from Guruji, and a lot of the mantras in it, he says, are the same ones they use, even though our version of her is from Kali Kula and this is from Sri Vidya Kula. So I'm going to start studying it. I read little parts of it, but it doesn't really stick in my brain until I start using it. So that is that. This I'll put over here because I'm going to read. Okay, this book. A lot of the puja stuff, the puja things specific to Kali that I learned many years ago, are actually in this book from the Trika tradition. Daniel Odier is a French guy who writes really well in English also. I really like all of his books. I have another one with me also. But I've read all of them about his encounters with Dakini, who initiated him in the Himalayas, all kind of stuff. But this has some great, it even has a full tantra in it that's translated. It has the version of chakras. It has full on nyasas. It's great. But it's kind of a mess because my room flooded in Mysore one year, and it got somehow I was on the second floor and the room still flooded. And I had to keep smashing it so it would get back in shape, and it's still not in great shape, and it's still kind of browned. And that was in 2019, so can't worry about that, I guess. This is something I didn't mean to carry with me, but I do because some of the quotes are just great and I really love to be reminded of them. The Hatha Yoga Pradipika, if you know anything about Hatha Yoga and if you go to Mysore, there are classes on it, but I prefer the Garanda Samhita. It's a version. He was a Hatha Yogi, and I have a small version so I can carry it easily. And it's just directly translated with all of the practices that can be used in Hatha Yoga. And I love it. This is my friend Ross's book, the first book he ever did of pranayama, and it's the Ashtanga pranayama sequence, which I know and I've learned, 2002. So for 22 years I've been doing that pranayama sequence, and it's very intense. But he did his own paperback version, and he teaches it in person. He's pretty good about that. So, and there's ways to order it and pay for it if you want that book. If you want it, you can comment, and I will tell you give you some more information how to get it. This is a book that came out in 2005, a tiny little book called Surya Namaskara by Pattabhi Jois. It came out not long before he got sick. He was sick the last couple of years, and it's got some really great stuff in it, and you just cannot find this anywhere anymore. I used to sell these things on Ashtanga.com. That's where we bought everything in America. And that's where I got mine. It costs $5, and it cost $5 shipping, so it cost me $10. It was really, no, I think it cost $7 and $5 shipping, so it's $12. Pretty amazing little tiny book, and I love it. So this is a book I was given on the Surya Namaskara mantras that are supposed to bring you full health. I chant them every morning as part of my puja. I keep the book with me. I don't forget the mantras, but every once in a while you get a little tongue-tied. I'm not super huge on all the Upanishads, but I really love the information in the Mundaka Upanishad. It just has some great stuff in it that I'm not going to get into and explain because it's too hard. It's too hard to go over all that stuff. So I'm going to leave it, all right? That's all I got for you. Avadhuta Gita, because Dattatreya is in the Sampradaya and the Parampara that he's in any yoga he's in, but he's in Avadhuta. This was attributed to him, not that he wrote it, but that he lived by it. So it's very hard to explain. I have a few friends who have bought it on my recommendation and really love it because it's talking about being an Avadhuta means to be free from any rules, any regulations, full of love and moving through life in that way. It's just something you can't explain. You have to read it to understand it. Both at the Ramakrishna Ashram in Mysore, I got that. I get a lot of books there, or I used to. Heal Your Body by Louise Hay. If I'm ever having a problem with my body, Louise has helped me fix a lot of my internal mental bullshit and my physical bullshit. So if you have a pain in a certain place, or if you have an issue in say your elbow or your knee or blah, 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 wherever it is, you can look it up. It tells you the body part. It tells you what's the cause of it. And it tells you an affirmation to help you get over it. It's helped me in lots of ways. That's a lot of personal stuff that I don't want to get into in this video. I'm very personal all the time, so I'm not so worried about sharing. But Devi Mahatmyam, the kind of essential reading from the, I can't remember the Upanishad, the name right now. It's not coming to my brain, but it's a segment of that. It tells all the stories of how Durga, Kali, all of them were created. And a lot of people chant it, and it's called the Chandipat. It's very interesting. I love Kamakhya. It's my favorite place, and this little book came to me last year sometime, and it's got some interesting little tidbits of information, so I just threw it in the mix. This is the other one by Daniel Odier that I have. It takes the Kala Jnana Nirnaya and takes all of the meditations that are listed in that tantric scripture and puts them and lists them really beautifully with simple instructions. And I happen to carry that. Here it is. I'll show it to you soon. This one, I'm not sure. It just ended up with me because I got it last year and I haven't been anywhere that I should leave it. But it has some cool stuff in it. It tells stuff about Aghori's that I have never heard before. I don't know if it's even true, but I like it, so it's there. It's fairly cheap, and someone recommended it to me, so I ordered it from Amazon last year when I was at Guruji's living for 6 months, and I love it. The Kamakya Tantra. It tells the stories of how to worship properly in the traditions that are used at Kamakya. It probably only has about 50% of the actual traditions that they do there, because some of them are not meant to be written down. They're meant to be taught mouth to ear, verbal passing on. What's the word? My brain's not thinking well. It's later than I'm used to thinking. Mulabandha, the Master Key. It's a great one. If you do Ashtanga Yoga and you don't have this book, something is wrong with you. This is the Kaulajnana Nirnaya. It's a tantric scripture which explains a lot of our worship forms and how we think about things. It explains chakras, which is the first and only book I've read with chakras in it, and explains them in a very different way than most people think of them, and is quite interesting and very small, but has so much stuff in it. It's hard to... This is my copy of Yogamala. I got it the day before I was leaving to drive to see Pattabhi Jois in Colorado. And it's hardback. Eddie Stern had put it out in hardback, and it just came out, and I ordered it, and it took a month to get it, because back then you had to mail a check, and then they would mail you the book. It's got a red string to go in it. It has a section on asanas in the back, and the front part is the philosophy, and signed by K. Pattabhi Jois in English or Roman alphabet and in Kannada on August 24th of the year 2000. That was when I met him the first time. If you ever look at my Facebook or my Instagram, you'll see quotes from Seth quite often. Jane Roberts used to channel Seth, and everyone who knows me knows I used to love all the Abraham stuff. I still do. But I found Seth through Abraham, and I love the Seth stuff because it just touches in such a different way that makes sense to my brain. And so I carry this with me because I can open it and reread parts of it randomly when I need it, and it changes my whole perspective. This book, again, was another one that was not supposed to be with me. I had a couple books that I would have rather had, but I was in the middle of reading it. So I left the other two books in deference to carry this one. It has a translation of the Yoni Tantra on it, which I could not find anywhere. It is something I was looking for a long time. So I kept it with me because I wanted to finish reading it. It has a couple other tantras in it that are translated also. All of them super interesting. Tantra is the name of the system, but tantras are also what the scriptures are called. So you can see I carry 1, 2, 3, 4 different tantras with me at all times. That one will, if I ever get back to the US in a place where I'm okay leaving the book, it will stay there because I don't need that information with me all the time. And if I can ever find a good English translation directly translated, I would prefer to have that. It's not what I have right now. It's what I got. So that is what I carry with me often. It is not my favorite books. One of the favorite books about Kali is Yogic Secrets of the Dark Goddess by Shambhavi Chopra. She's married to David Frawley, who's a famous American Ayurvedic doctor. I read a few of his books also, but when I read that, it's the first time that I embraced Kali and allowed her to come inside, and it's really phenomenal. Kali Kaula by Jan Fries. Jan Fries is a German guy who did a lot of research and wrote so much stuff down on the history of Kali worship and on the Dash Mahavidyas, on Kamakya, on everything. It's an amazing book, and those two I always carried with me. But now I have the Jan Fries book downloaded on my laptop, so I don't need it physically with me. The other one I can't find a download of, but I prefer to have it with me because I reread parts of it so often. that just has such beautiful passages on her relationship with Kali Ma in her different forms, and how that relationship changed over time and how it affected her. And I really find it beautiful, so I wish I had it. Maybe I have to order it again, but then I'm going to have to leave one of these here. I got to quit carrying all these fucking books with me, but that's the way I do it right now. So anyway, there we go. All right. Have a great night. Bye.